continue making content, even if it's just for myself. Sometimes you just gotta do something for yourself, and that's fine. Hey guys, it's Kimberly and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the Booktube Newbie Tag. I actually had no idea that this was a thing until I was watching some YouTube videos this weekend, and I saw that a lot of people do this, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So I decided, why not give it a try and let you guys know all about my reading habits and why I got into reading and stuff. I have not really looked at the questions. I looked at them very briefly just to write them down since I use my phone to record, so I couldn't look at my phone doing this video. So I just wrote them down quickly on a piece of paper. Try not to think about them too much, so it'd be just like a gut reaction kind of video. So this may be horrible depending on my answers, so we'll see. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start the Booktube Newbie Tag. The first question is, why did you start this channel? I started this channel because actually not a lot of friends of mine are super into reading. My mom and my husband are sick of hearing me talk about books that I'm obsessed with, so I thought it would be really fun to talk to people who share similar interests. I feel like other people on Booktube understand, and people who watch Booktube really understand like how obsessive reading can become, and especially when it's pretty much my only other hobby. When you read as much as somebody does on Booktube or the people who watch Booktube, it can be really hard sometimes to relate to other people when you talk about books, because you just become this crazy person when talking about certain books, especially books that you love or books that you hate, and they don't really get it. So I love watching Booktube and watching other people talk about books and just being like, yes, you guys get it. So I really want to start this channel because I want to be able to talk about books like that to other people who really get it as well. So the next question is, what is something fun and unique you can bring to Booktube? This is probably the hardest question in my opinion, because I think everyone's doing such a great job on Booktube. I honestly don't know what more I could bring other than my own personal opinions. I do think I have some differing opinions from people. I remember when Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, and I really wanted to start a Booktube then because it seemed like everyone hated the book, and I rated it 5 stars. I thought it was a great book, so I was dying to put out like a review about what I thought about it, to talk to other booktubers about what I thought about it. No one else had read it that I knew, so I couldn't like banter back and forth with anybody. So I definitely, that goes into part why I made the channel, is I think I have some unique ideas about books, and I really want to talk to other booktubers about maybe why they didn't like it versus why I liked it, or the other way around. I like bantering about books and seeing what other people's opinions are because I think it's really, really fun. I also think I have some ideas for some book videos, hopefully later on in the channel. If I do get people more interested in my channel, I can start doing some interesting stuff with my videos, which would also be really cool. So the next question is, what are you most excited about for this new channel? Again, I think this goes back to why I started this channel. I want to talk to other booktubers. I love seeing their other videos. I would love to do collaborations with other people, maybe do almost like a debate piece. Like, I think that would be really cool. Like, do invite other booktubers on your channel and basically debate over a book. I really like the idea of starting a book club. So there are just a few things that I really want to try out, and I really want to connect with other people on Booktube. I think it'd be really cool. Yikes, I say cool a lot. The next question is, why do you love reading? Oh, I think that's a really hard question for a lot of people to answer, and I feel like the most basic answer that a lot of people have is, I like just exploring new worlds. I think it's why fantasy is my favorite topic, which I feel like that answered one of the later questions. I love fantasy because it just takes you out of this world and into this new place where anything is possible. I mean, anything can happen in a book. It's so fantastic. And I mean, it's hard not wanting to be part of some of these worlds, and for a little bit you do get to be a part of these worlds. I think the other reason I love reading so much is It'll be answered in another question actually, but it started with my mom. My mom and I actually read a lot when I was a kid, so I always, whenever I read, it gives me this like warm, comforting feeling because of how much I read with her as a child. So the next question is, what book or series got you into reading? It depends what point in my life we're talking about. I would say the first big series is obviously Harry Potter. I was a kid when Harry Potter came out. Obviously that's going to be one of the first big series that I read. And I said it earlier, but my mom and I used to read together all the time, and that series was a huge part of it. She actually read me. We would sit in bed together and she would read the first couple books to me, and I think we actually did finish a series together, but by the time the 7th came out, I was a lot older, so we read it together. Like, I would read out loud to her some chapters, she would read out loud to me some chapters. So it's just, that definitely helped get me into reading at the beginning. I still didn't pick it up like a lot after the first couple of books. By the 7th book I was reading a lot, but 1 through 4 I probably wasn't hugely into reading. It was mostly just the Harry Potter books. Book 4, Goblet of Fire, is still my favorite, and that book really sparked my interest. But the other series that actually got me really into reading was the Twilight series. And I think it's because all of my friends were reading it, and it was the first time I read a book series that all of my friends were reading and I could talk to them about. And we had arguments about it, Team Jacob versus Team Edward. So that was such a fun reading experience, and it was really the first time I was like, oh, this is what reading could really be like. Which is one of the reasons I want to be on Booktube, because there's so many people like that out there who want to talk about books like that. So the Twilight series definitely sparked my interest in books, no matter how anyone feels about it. I mean, it did. I think it was 7th or 8th grade when I read it. Of course I was obsessed with it as 7th or 8th grade. I'm pretty sure I have like 3 or 4 sets of the book just because it holds such good memories for me. Not even relating to the book, just relating to like the time period and my friends and really learning to love reading. So the next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I feel like most of the questions are just book related questions. Like, if they've read the same books as me, I want to know why they read this part, how they like this part of the book, what do they think about the author. In general booktube terms, I would probably ask how they deal with the negativity on social media, because I know that's probably one of my most fearful things, being on social media, because I actually am not really. I have like a Facebook, I have an Instagram, I don't have a Twitter. I will not be on Twitter, it's too toxic. My Instagram I post randomly on. I have a personal Instagram which I don't use at all. I have a booktube Instagram, which if I finish a book, I'll post like a book review. That's pretty much it. I don't post religiously. When I started it, I did, and I realized it was kind of like consuming me, so I took a step back. I was like, no. I do have a TikTok. I posted 1 video on TikTok, and I don't think I'll ever use it again. Maybe later, and I don't really use my Facebook. I'm not really into social media because I'm a pretty private person, which is funny saying to YouTube. But I'm not big on sharing a lot of personal information about my personal life. Reading is a lot different. I would love to share ideas and information about reading, but that's one of the reasons I'm not on social media, is I don't know how to deal with like negativity that comes with being someone just out there that's put themselves out there. So if this channel grows, big if, I definitely would like to know how they kind of stay positive when they get a lot of negative feedback, because everyone gets negative feedback even if it's not warranted. People just can be mean on the internet. That's just how it is. The internet is rough. The next question is, what challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome starting a booktube channel? Like I said before, the negative comments. If this channel grows, would be the negative comments. I've already talked to my husband. I said, if I get negative comments, you're gonna start having to moderate, because If they're like really, like if they're constructive criticism, yes, I will definitely read them, probably talk about them in videos, take them into account. Like if I'm talking too quietly, talking too quickly, something like that, that's fine. It's you're ugly, that kind of stuff, like that's, my husband's gonna have to end up moderating because I don't know if I can handle that. I think the other biggest thing to overcome is actually getting a following. It's because I'm a pretty big introvert in person. I spend a lot of my time at home with my husband and my dog. I have a couple of very close friends who I haven't even shared this channel with. It's kind of my own personal thing that I feel weird about sharing with people that I know, which is, I know it sounds strange, but yeah. So that's why it's gonna be really hard for me to grow a channel because I don't have like a big home base kind of thing that I would share this with people and be like, hey, share this with other people. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, which stinks because I know that's how you get a lot of follows, is promoting yourself to other people, but I don't know if I can do that. So like for example, I shared an unboxing in one of the unboxing groups and I almost took it down like 5 times because it just made me really uncomfortable and it felt like shameless promotion, which it probably is a little bit, but I don't know how I feel about promoting myself, and that's gonna be probably my biggest challenge in making this channel bigger, is I have to be confident to promote myself to other people to get this started. But I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This is just something fun for me. One of the reasons I started this channel is just because I have a lot of thoughts about books, and I think it's easier getting it out in this format than just kind of running around talking to my husband about it, who has no idea what I'm talking about. So at least if one person even watches one of these videos, at least someone's like sitting there going, oh, okay, like I agree with that, I disagree with that. So I at least know someone watched it and was semi-entertained at some point. The next question is, when did I start reading? Again, it goes back to reading with my mom. I've always read. I've always really been into English. It's actually what I wanted to do for a living. I wanted to go into English, be an English literature professor or a writer. Didn't happen that way. But yeah, I started reading since I was a kid. Always have read, not like obsessively like now, but I was probably one of the bigger readers in my classes when I was a kid. But I've always had a book around. I keep books everywhere I go. It's always been like that. My parents were always trying to get me to get rid of my books, and I was like, no. Like, they still have a case at home of like some of my old children's books that I won't let them get rid of. Where do I read is the next question. I read everywhere. I tend to stay inside. If you couldn't tell by my pale appearance, I burn really easily, so I'm not big into reading outside. I also live in Charlotte. It's hot. I'm not from the South, so I'm not used to the heat. I'm from up in DC, and when I was a kid, lived in New Jersey, so this is a little too hot for me here, so I don't really read outside. I probably should. I really probably need the sunlight, but if I go outside and read, I cover completely up. But I tend to read in my house. We have a little like entertainment room upstairs because of our neighborhood's a little bit noisy sometimes, so we basically made like this little entertainment center in the center of the house upstairs, so it's really quiet, and we have a nice little couch up there that I like to read on. The next question is, what kind of books do I like to read? I tend to read everything. My favorite genres are young adult fiction, fantasy specifically, and thrillers, adult thrillers. I'm not a big fan of high fantasy. I've tried a few high fantasy. I'm gonna continue to try high fantasy until I find something I like, but I don't really prefer that. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary young adult fiction. I'm not a huge fan of young adult thrillers, but I do like young adult horror. I'm very specific in what I like reading. It's like very weirdly specific. So yeah, young adult horror I like. Adult horror It depends. It really depends on the book. I tend to side on that I don't like it unless it's ghost stories. Adult horror is a little too violent for me and gory. I don't like gore in anything that I read or watch, really. So I can run into some issues with that. I like I said, I like adult thrillers. Riley Sager, love him. But I don't tend to like young adult thrillers because I don't buy into them very well. There's a few that I have on my shelf that I really like, but they are on their own. There's not that many. Young adult romance most of the time is a no, but I like adult romance sometimes. If it gets too much, then it's a little too much for me. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, so I'm undecided on that. Historical fiction really depends on the subject and the era. So it's really hard to say exactly what I like and don't like because it can be all over the place. I read a lot of stuff. So I would definitely say my favorite things are young adult fantasy and adult thrillers. And we'll keep that as the easy answer. And the final question is, what does my book collection look like? Embarrassingly large. My husband is drowning in books and I feel kind of bad about it. So, downstairs in our house, the reason we actually bought this, one of the reasons we bought this house is they had their own library behind me. I don't keep my library very clean. I know a lot of people have like aesthetically pleasing libraries, but that's not how I like to keep mine. I like the chaos of it because that's what I find beautiful. So you can see all the pops. There's absolutely no order to any of these things. I think I tried to put some stuff in order. Like, yeah, so like I have like a mini sci-fi section up there. I have romance. Oh no, I just put vampire stuff right there. There's like some vampire stuff right there, romance, fantasy, a Charlene Harris section by herself, but I have some of her other books upstairs. So it honestly makes absolutely no sense. I have a Cassandra Clare shelf over there. Keep her by herself because I have so many of her books. And then I have another book section on that side that's all classicals. And this is just the stuff downstairs. I've read most of the stuff downstairs. I try to transport my books from upstairs to downstairs. Upstairs, I have 2 bookshelves in my bedroom, a stack of unread books on my side table. Then in our little entertainment room, we have like a TV stand thing. That's all, and there's 3 bookshelves attached to that. They're filled with books with no order. All my book of the month books that I haven't read are upstairs in there. My book of the month books that I've read are down here, and they're on the top shelf. So you can see there's more up there. Whoops. So I told my husband I need a bigger house so I can have a bigger library room, and he was like, so, whoops. So anyway, that's kind of what my book collection looks like. And I think that's all the questions. I'm trying to think if I missed anything, but not really. Basically, what to take away from this is I am obsessed with books. I would really love to connect with other people who are obsessed with books as I am. I would love to do videos together, ideas together, readathons, whatever. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a little much. Yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and I will continue making content, even if it's just for myself. Sometimes you just gotta do something for yourself, and that's fine. I'll see you guys in the next video.